The Big Sister Experience is here to share honest conversations and insights around life, mental health, and well-being. While we aim to inform and inspire, the content of this podcast is for general information purposes only. If any topics raises questions or concerns for you, we encourage you to seek professional support or advice before acting on any topics discussed. To begin today's episode, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are recording from, the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We acknowledge that learning through conversation and stories is an Indigenous practice that has been done on this land for centuries before us. We want to pay our respect to any Indigenous or Torres Strait Islander people listening and elders past and present. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Before we begin, please note that this episode will include topics related to mental health, which may include discussions of anxiety, depression, trauma, or other mental health issues and illnesses, as well as suicide and self-harm and related topics. Everyone processes these topics differently, so please take care of yourself in whatever way you need, whether that means pausing, stepping away, or reaching out to someone you trust. If you're struggling, you're not alone. Support is available. There are resources at the end of every episode for those who need it. 3, 2, 1. Hey! My name is Caitlin. My pronouns are she, her.
My name's Tiara. My pronouns are also she, her.
If you are new here, we are from the Big Sister Experience. We run all-day workshops with female-identifying, gender-diverse students discussing what we wish we knew when we were younger, and we want to welcome you to the Sisterhood Space. Feel free to enter however you feel most comfortable, however you feel most authentic. Make this space your own, and if you are returning, welcome back to the Sisterhood Space. But with that being said, we're the Big Sisters, you're in the space. Welcome to the Sisterhood Space. Amazing. Courageous conversations.
Yep.
Let's go.
I think when we think of this, it's like when we want to check in with our own mental health and maybe talk about that with trusted adults in our lives, it can feel terrifying.
I think really framing it as well as courageous conversations, just courage, being brave. I'm like...
Yeah, 100%, for sure, definitely. We get these questions in workshops and it's the young people just don't know how to approach it or what to say or the right thing to say, and they're really worried about that. They know they need help, they know that they need support, but I guess asking for it in a way that feels right for them is where that fear, that nervousness kind of comes into. So I think I'm really keen to dive into these questions.
And just the using your own voice. All the time we get questions about how do I ask for help? 100%. How do I explain this? And it can be really hard to put your feelings to words. I think that is the key that people always really seem to struggle with, and I get it. It's so difficult to kind of explain how you're feeling and be I think it's kind of sad, but I think it's also this, and it's that is tricky. Trying to name it and trying to word it, I get it.
You've got our questions.
So if you don't know, we answer anonymous questions from students. We've got our little sticky notes from some students, and we are going to answer them. First question, how do I stand up for myself in an argument? I always freeze up and my head empties. Real.
Yeah, I know I'm definitely a freezer.
Yeah.
I think.
What are the three? It's
4, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So fighting is if somebody, let's say, comes up to you and maybe they start an argument, your response is I'm going to fight back, whether that's physically physically or verbally, you'll arc up, right? That's fight. Flight is I'm running away. I'm avoiding this. I'm not going to be here. That is not working for me. Freeze, another super common one, is
the head emptying.
100%. There's nothing that comes to mind. You're frozen in place. You don't know what to say. And then fawn is what we don't talk about enough. It's not something that's very well known, but fawning is really that pleasing, appeasing, complying to a perceived threat to ensure your own safety without even recognizing your own needs. So it's very much that people pleasing, and it's not something that we consider as a protective factor. So your fight, flight, freeze are all protective factors. Fawn is also another one, but we don't talk about it, but it's super common.
And it's so common in female identifying and women, that people pleasing, because you don't want to be seen as aggressive and fighting, that you're I'm just gonna try and get out of this, and that's okay, no stress, don't even worry, actually I'll, and you just kind of lean into that, no, it's so fine, when it's not fine, I'm angry.
100%.
How do we fix this? I completely understand the freezing and your head emptying. For me, my biggest thing is don't fight that. When you're freezing, I understand that your head empties and you're I don't know, as soon as you start beating yourself up for that and you're oh my God, I lost everything, I can never remember it and I don't even know what I was saying, take a beat, take a breath, It's okay. Your head empties. Like, don't start that spiral of like, oh my God, I don't remember anything.
I think it's like we put that pressure on ourselves to be able to react in the right way, or like say exactly what we need to say, or not flight or fight, but just get our points across and articulate it well, that we put this pressure on ourselves to do that's also what helps cause that head emptying, because you're in so like a do I go, do I not, like what am I doing? And that's why you just freeze up, your head empties, because you are like putting all that weight on yourself to get it right.
Yeah.
I think really the first step, because I know like, oh, I'm a big freezer. Like I just like I don't know. Understand that you are feeling discomfort. Sit with the discomfort, sit with that stress, sit with that anger, and recognize in your body, how am I feeling? I think our automatic is to look outwards and respond to whatever it is, but just take a beat, see how you feel within, and recognize what is actually coming to you.
And because the more you try to fight that, the more stressed you feel and the more like angry you get because you wanted to say this and then you're like, I didn't get to say that point.
Yeah.
And it's like, take a breath. It'll just like, it's okay. Take a breath. And I think you always think that pause is longer than it is. Like in your head, you're like, if I pause, then they'll bite back. And I'm like, that pause was like 1 second. Nobody even noticed. Like, it's okay to take a breath and like reset.
It also really depends on your situation as well, of like whether, let's say it's an authority figure, let's say it's a friend, like it's kind of, there are different responses for different people and there's not like a blanket solution. But I do think it's good to start by looking introspectively first and recognizing how you're feeling.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the head emptying, like what then can we do outwardly to kind of move forward and not sit in that freeze?
I think when it comes to the like standing up for myself in an argument, if in that time it doesn't come to you, like circle back to it. Like get your thoughts in order, set like this is how I feel, this is what happened, this is what I'm going to do now, this is what I would need to tell this person. Like once you've got it like in order, go to them and being like, hey, like I want to have a chat about this, or like when this happened I didn't want to lash out in the moment, so I've like taken a breath, I've like thought about it, this is what I think, this is how I feel. Because sometimes in an argument as well, like when it comes to setting up for yourself in the moment, you might say something you regret, you might like hit a nerve with that person. I know a lot of the times in anger we can kind of lash out on a friend and say things we don't mean, and like you just had that off day. Like take a pause, reflect on the situation, why did you feel that way, what happened, who said what, come back to it and be like, I just needed a breath, I needed a minute to like sort that out, now I want to talk. Like you don't always have to go into it initially and be like, well, you said this, so I'm gonna, it's like, okay, don't like just take a minute, take a breath.
But I think that's exactly why like I'm a bit of a freezer, because I will feel a lot and that anger will be like quite evident, but I think it is that I don't want to lash out, I don't want to say things that I can't take back or I don't mean, but then I don't know how to articulate myself correctly, and that's why the freeze happens. Because it is the, like, I know that I'm not feeling good in this, I know that there's the discomfort, I know that there's anger or whatever it is, and the defense, especially in an argument, right? So I think, like, it is the, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the freeze happens. So I love what you said about, honestly, even if it's just like taking the beat, being like, hold on, I need a moment, we need to sort through this, we need to discuss this. I'm going to come back to you with this because I want to have a productive conversation, which also sounds ridiculous to say when, like, if you're having an argument with someone and you might not even be friends. Yeah. And you're like, hold on, pause. Like, it feels...
Sorry, can I just think about how that one, like, landed?
Yeah. But I think it also, that might catch them off guard as well and be like, wait, hold on, like, maybe I need to like, take a...
in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, like, one of the other big sisters did this with, she was talking to a friend over the phone and it was getting really, really heated, and she knew it wasn't going to be a productive conversation and she didn't know how to get out of it, didn't really know how to use her voice. In our workshops, we talk about the 4 Ps, which is like when you feel like you can't use your voice, they're like strategies to get yourself out of it. They sound funny, but they are poop, pee, period, puke. And it can be to get yourself out of unsafe situations when you feel like you can't use your voice. She used poop as an excuse to get out of this conversation because she was on the phone to a friend and was like, oh, sorry, like I gotta poop, I'll call you back, right? And it like,
and nobody's questioning that. No one's like, are you really? It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, just like call you back. Like she didn't need to poop, but she got off the phone, like waited a little bit till it kind of simmered down. And then when she picked up the phone to have a conversation with her friend again, it was genuinely a lot more productive because they'd both taken a breather and had like taken the emotion forward response out of it and it was more like solution focused.
Yeah. It's not constructive to fight, to just go at it and like in the heat be like rah, rah, rah. Like there's no resolving there, there's no fixing there. Like that's just anger, and that's okay. Anger is a healthy emotion and you're allowed to be angry. How are we using that anger?
100%.
Anger can be destructive and violent and aggressive, and that's not useful, but anger can be used to like make these thoughts clearer, to do this. Like how can we constructively use that anger to now fix this instead of just lashing out?
Coming back to, I think as female identifying people, a lot of the times we feel like anger's not an emotion we're allowed to feel and we're not allowed to express. And I think we need to distinguish of like, you can have the emotion. The emotion is so valid. It's so real. There's a reason we have it with us, right? But it's about how you outwardly respond with having that emotion that is actually like productive or not.
Yeah.
And I think like that can really like help kind of distinguish of like, you're allowed to feel angry. I think we don't feel like we are.
Yeah.
But the emotion is important, but it's about separating the emotion from your response.
Yeah.
Or not even separating it, but like channeling it, understanding it, sitting with it. And then how can I productively move forward in this?
Yeah.
But I also understand in the moment of like, if you're freezing up, you're not thinking about all of this.
Yeah.
But I think it's about understanding how you work, how you operate, like what your protective factor is, whether it's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and thinking about it when you're not in the heat of the moment, so that, because life is going to happen, you're going to have arguments with people. That is just how it goes, right? But understanding how you work and how you respond and what triggers you and things like that, and having those things in the back of your head of like, okay, I know when I feel this way, this is how I'm going to respond. What can I do to work with this to help myself feel better in the situation and maybe not freeze, for example?
Yeah. And I think no matter what your response is, if it is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, always take a beat. Take a breath. It doesn't matter that is how you are feeling. Just pause for a second and like come back down, because so often you will get in your head of like, oh my God, I've frozen and like I can't think, and then I was going to say this. Or all the times you're like fighting, you're like, I'm going to fight. And it's like, just take a breath to like really set in and be like, okay, this is what we're doing now. Like you don't always have to like act on that first feeling. And if you take a breath, it's always so much more productive.
100%. Yeah.
Beautiful. Next question. This one we get quite a bit too. How do I tell my parents I'm struggling and it's not just me going through puberty? From the teens that we work with, it is so often a like dismissal of feelings of like, everyone feels like that, or not being taken seriously because it's like, well, that's just what happens.
And I want to speak to the statistic of 65% of young people don't seek support. That is a massive statistic, and we bring it up in every workshop because it also shows like our young people are struggling and they don't know where to turn. They don't know how to turn to it. We often ask you in workshops like, why do we think this statistic is so huge? Why do we think that more than half of us aren't reaching out for support? And it is what you said of like, they're feeling dismissed, they're feeling invalidated, they're not feeling heard, they're feeling like they're told it's hormones, it's puberty, but none of that addresses how they are feeling and validates what they are going through.
Yeah.
So like we get this in so many different ways.
Yeah. And I know for me, like I find this really intriguing because for me, like the peak of my kind of mental health journey was like year 9. So that like 14, 15, 16 kind of age. And when I was really going through it, for me, I like shut down. I was very like autopilot, like just do what I need to do, go to school, do the homework, see the friends, do that. But I wasn't really like thinking or like socializing or like happy. I was just kind of like blinders on, like it is what it is. And my parents at the time were like, oh, like she's a bit quiet, she's a bit withdrawn, but I don't know, like it's just puberty, she's just a teenager, like we'll let her like do her thing, like that's okay that she's not as like bubbly or happy or like anything, like that's just what happens when you get older. But for me it was like, no, this actually wasn't like just puberty and like let's just like leave her, like that's okay, like we get it. It was like, no, like I actually need help, like I'm kind of really going through something and it isn't just this. And so for me it's the opposite of everyone around me in my life were just kind of like, oh, like that's okay, like that's just what happens. And it's like, no. So even then, by like addressing it, my number one tip for people of how to tell a parent or like a trusted adult is always start with, if you can't explain how you're feeling, if you don't know what it is or where it's come from or how to like articulate it, because in the like freezing, the hardest part can be like trying to word how you're feeling. By just saying like, I don't feel like myself. This isn't my normal. Something is wrong. Nobody can dispute that. If you're like, I'm just feeling really depressed, that can be bit back with like, well, you don't clean your room. You don't have that job. You don't do this.
You're on your phone too much.
Yeah. And it's like, no, if you say like, something feels wrong and this is not my normal and this is not how I usually feel, that's the kind of thing of like, oh, like you can't blame that on something else. It's like, okay, now what? Like that first thing of like, I don't feel like myself.
Yeah.
That is such a great like start.
No, I love that. And I think this kind of ties into the last question as well of like, if you freeze up in an argument or you don't really know how to approach things or speak to someone verbally about it, and even with reaching out for support, we always talk about in our workshops having a communication journal as well. This one I kind of love because it's a way to get out your feelings without you having to physically be there. Basically, it's either you can write a letter, write it in a journal, write it in a book, exactly how you're feeling. Maybe you're struggling, maybe you're going through it. You write down whatever it is that is happening for you, whatever you're struggling with. Then let's say it's a parent or a guardian at home, leave it on their bed, leave it on their bedside table. If maybe it's a teacher at school who's your trusted adult, like putting it on their desk or whatever it is, basically explaining what you're going through and then also adding how you want them to respond. This helps in a couple of ways. What I really love about it is that, one, you're still getting your emotions out, but you don't have to be worrying about them like waiting to like butt in or like bite back.
And sometimes just that eye contact, like looking at a person.
No,
nope, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, scary. And also, especially maybe it is like you're trying to have a courageous conversation with your trusted adult and they're part of what's not helping you, right? Of even having to admit that can be terrifying, and people are just automatically defensive even if they don't mean to. I think, you know, we take things personally, right? And so writing it down in a letter or in a journal, you don't have to watch any of their emotions. They can't interrupt you. It's a way to get it out. It's a way to seek that support without having to physically be there, without having to say it, but you're still getting it.
And they can't bite back. No. They can't give you a direct thing. They have to like read that and sit with it and like write back to you.
Yeah.
And maybe you can like rewrite that 8, 9, 10, 15 times because you didn't get it across how you want.
Exactly.
You didn't have to have that conversation and try and like work around what you wanted to say. Once you've got it, you can end it with like, this is what I need, or could we have an in-person conversation? Could you write back to me tomorrow? Could we go and speak to this? Or you could just be like, I don't know what I need. Like, that's okay. And it just gives you that space to like have your feelings heard and listened to without it being a kind of scary like in-person conversation.
Yeah. And even if the response is like, can we keep responding in this journal? And when I see you in real life, like, please act like normal. We're not going to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it in person, but you're still communicating how you're feeling and you are being courageous. You are having those conversations, but it's in a way that feels comfortable for you. Yeah.
It's great. I love that idea. It takes off so much pressure.
100%. And I think the result of not doing it, of not reaching out for that support, I know was very like tied to my journey of I think as many female identifying and presenting people is we are very good at being high functioning when it comes to our mental health. We could be struggling on the inside. We probably are struggling on the inside and you would never know it. And I know for me, I was so high functioning for so long that I went through pretty much my whole school journey, like my whole adolescence, without reaching out for support, but I knew I was struggling. But I just didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. I didn't feel like I had that person. And I was crumbling on the inside. And it took me becoming an adult to then, for me, go to the doctors and be like, I need to see someone. Like, I know I'm struggling. I need to get help. I don't know how. For me, that was my journey. And if I maybe had these tools to talk about this stuff earlier, my mental health journey wouldn't have struggled for as long as it did. But it was all because I reached out late. And I think obviously better late than never. Like, I think whenever you get to it, like it's important. But I think I would have done myself so much more of a bigger service if I did it earlier, but also if I had the tools to, if I knew where to start, if I knew what my options were. But I just didn't have any of that. So that's also like why like I was a part of that 65% at the time.
And even if it's like finding those connections and reaching out, like how do I reach out? maybe your parents aren't your trusted adults. Who else could those trusted adults be? If you can't think of a trusted adult, we have so many resources at the end of these episodes in our descriptions. Like there are so many other resources that if it is like having those in-person conversations, if it is like family, like there are so many online resources, like chat, phone, like so many ways for you to get that help. If it isn't in person, if you are so used to it just kind of being like, it's because of this, you're just going through puberty, you're only thinking that because of this, and it's like, I need help. I want you to like back yourself in how you're feeling of like, I don't feel good, something feels wrong, something doesn't feel like me. You deserve to get that help and you deserve to like find those connections. So if it is like doing that online and finding those different options and what's around you and what's out there, like those resources can be amazing as well.
And I think it takes a lot to come out and like say that you're struggling and speaking to someone, and unfortunately sometimes the first person we speak to either one might not be equipped to handle it, two might be dismissive, like that might be some of our realities. But I think the important thing is to keep using your voice, is to keep trying in whatever ways you can, whether it is the communication journal, whether it is speaking to a trusted adult, whether it is using a helpline or a resource. Like find what works for you, but just keep trying. Like I promise you somebody will listen, somebody is out there who cares. We just need to find it.
Yeah. Everyone's journey is different. That's why we are here. That is why we love having this podcast and answering these questions. Like hopefully we can plant a seed, start a conversation, get someone like finding that next step or like reaching out for that help or just being a bit more aware and like opening up these conversations that sometimes aren't always open for people. So I always love getting these questions. Yeah, I love doing this. It's great.
And it's not an easy journey, and I don't want you to beat yourself up trying. I think the fact that you were trying is so courageous.
Yeah.
Those are also small wins. Like take them, genuinely take them. The fact that you're trying is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Every time we wrap up an episode, we love to do our loves and our leaves for the week. What are we leaving this week? Tiara, kick us off.
Yeah, I think in terms of courageous conversations, I feel like it's always like we're planting the seed.
I know, I'm always like, I'm leaving this. Will I actually? We'll find out. But I'm going to try my best.
Yeah. I think I am leaving thinking my problems are invalid because somebody else said so. I think when we're talking about courageous conversations and we're talking about maybe the adults in our lives aren't listening to us, I think I quite fed into that as a young person and was very much like, oh, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. And I guess what I should be prioritizing is my school and whatever it is.
And adults being like, well, I pay bills and I do this. And I go, oh, well, my friendships isn't that hard. I'm like, no, it feels hard. And I get that. Like, just because everyone has different issues, like how you are feeling does not matter. Like you're feeling it.
100%. I think I'm leaving invalidating that. Big or small, my issues matter. And I think that goes for everybody. So I think I'm leaving being part of the problem.
Yeah. I am leaving that like inner critic. I feel like so often, similar to your leave of like, I beat myself up, I get myself down. When like the smallest thing happens in my mental health, I go, oh, I can't do this anymore and I can't do that. And it's like, no, take a breath and like, it's okay. I want to just be a bit gentler with myself and be like, it's okay. We're going to work this out. That's what I'm leaving.
Love that.
What are you loving this week?
I am loving... I feel like I've said this in a previous episode before, but I'm loving having courageous conversations with my people and it not feeling like I have to go into flight or fight.
Yeah.
Surrounding myself with people who make me feel safe in conflict. And I'm really loving that, and I think I'm really lucky for that. But I think also inviting that, you know what I mean? I think, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, but one of my friends told me that conflict, like arguments, it doesn't have to be confrontational, it can just be conversational. And I think that really changed with how I approach conflict, because you don't have to come into it hot-headed and you don't have to be on the defense automatically. And I think for me, like that's what got me into the freeze and that's what stopped me from reaching out and things like that. But if it just comes from a, hey, like this is how I'm feeling, and come from more of that vulnerability, it makes such a difference, and I'm really loving that. So I'm really loving being able to have conversational conflict and also leaning into that vulnerability.
Yeah. I think I am loving having those safe spaces. I think in doing this work, I'm loving being that safe space for these courageous conversations. I think this whole like year has just been so amazing. We've had such great workshops, but a lot of them have felt very no thank you, and like I feel like I am doing something in this work that is helping people have courageous conversations and learn how to use their voice and ask that question and ask that person and turn to that. And I'm loving having that and being able to like give that to someone.
Yay. I love that. Amazing.
We did it.
We did it.
To wrap up, like, share, comment, rate, do all of the things. We've got our Google form in the description. If you want to ask a question, if you've got a scenario, let us know. I promise you, like, we have heard this all. We want this space to be yours. Like, this is our day job. If you've got any questions, if you're unsure about anything, like, I've heard it, I've answered it. Nothing will, like, shock us or surprise us anymore. We want to help you, like, navigate those places. If you don't feel like you've got those trusted adults or you don't know where to turn to, like, maybe this can be the first step.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate what Caitlin said. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, there is a Google form in the description. Please send in your questions. We really, really want to hear from you. I'm checking it like all the time. Like, oh, who's asked this question?
And like, this is student-led. Like, we want you to get something out of this. Ask your questions. Like, what do you want to know? If you don't have a trusted adult that you feel like you can turn to, what did you want to ask them? Like, maybe we'll be able to help.
Amazing. Alrighty, well, like in our workshops, we love to leave you with a whoosh of love, just sending good vibes to you for the rest of your week. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1. Whoosh! Bye!
Here are some resources for further support. Lifeline 131114. Beyond Blue 1300 224 636. 1-800-RESPECT 1800 737 732. Suicide Callback Services 1300 659 467. 13-YARN 139276. Q-Life 1800 184 527. Kids Helpline 1800 55 1800. There's a QR code for further resources.